What's up, Johnny? Nice to see you, my friend. Wait. Oh, all right. Let's get a few more windows in a reasonable spot. All right. Good morning. If it's morning where you're at, good afternoon, good evening, good day, happy Saturday. Wait. Oh. Is that going to mess up? Did it mess up the chat? I think it's fine. Okay. All right. Yes. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for watching. If you are new and haven't caught my streams before, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. And we are working on usually stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what that is, you can learn more about the main website for it right here, circuitpython.org. It's a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. You typically plug these things into your computer. If you're using CircuitPython, they show up like a thumb drive, and then you can edit a Python code file on that thumb drive. When you save it, the microcontroller will actually execute the Python code for you. And then your code can interface with all sorts of other electronics. Microcontrollers typically are like fairly general things. They have lots of I/O pins, they call them, along the edges or whatever that you can hook up other electronics too. So the whole point of these things is to control other little bits of electronic stuff like lights and sensors, buttons, beepers, speakers, any like displays, any kind of thing really that you can imagine that's electronic. You can interface with these microcontrollers. As always, thanks to Adafruit. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They make CircuitPython possible by paying myself and the rest of the team of folks who work on CircuitPython. So thank you to them. If you want to help support them and CircuitPython, one of the easiest ways to do it is just purchase hardware from them at their website, adafruit.com. They make microcontrollers that run CircuitPython. They make all sorts of add-ons and things that you can hook up to your microcontrollers. They also provide for free this whole Learn side of the website, so Learn system, which has loads and loads and loads of projects in there for what you can build with your microcontrollers and other stuff. So thanks to them, as always. And then today, diving in a bit more specifically, we are going back into the Factorio world. For folks who are new, then you might not have caught last week. I worked on this a little bit. We are interfacing those microcontrollers. So if I pull this back up and grab a Pico W, this microcontroller in particular, I have inside of this box with this like industrial control button arrangement and key situation going on here. So I have a Pico W inside there. And I have been working on building an interface between that Pico W that's inside of there running CircuitPython and the video game Factorio so that we can get signals from the microcontroller into the game and so that we can get signals from the game back out into the microcontroller to do whatever we want with. Let me do this real fast. Probably going to be Okay. And if you are watching but don't know any of the background on this and want a few more details about how that is working, feel free to shout in one of the chats and just ask me what's up with how I'm doing it, and I'll dive in a bit to explain the kind of concepts involved here. But basically, we have a custom mod. We are interacting with that through some custom commands, and then the microcontroller is essentially sending the commands over Archon, although it is not directly. It's sending them most immediately to the PC over USB, and then from there they get forwarded over to Archon. One of the first things I do want to do today is on the Factorio side. I want to make it a bit easier to test some of these things. In particular, like this one here is the get right combinator signal. Currently, it returns, it prints its result essentially only on Archon. I think that we can update it though. I would like to update it so that it's easier to test in the game rather than through Archon. I have also done this earlier and figured out how to launch Factorio through Steam from the terminal. Sorry, that's where I was going with that. Let's say start. This doesn't need to be so huge. I guess I don't know if we need to really run it. Maybe I'll use that in the terminal. One of the things I was looking for last time was like a quicker way to restart the game, and so I think launching it from the terminal, and I also have another command that kills it from the terminal. So our workflow for the mod can be like build, kill the current process, and then run the new process. So right now we have that command, get right combinator signals, but if I just run it directly like this from inside the game, we can't see anything. Nothing happened, basically. And I would like something to happen so it's a bit easier to test, because right now, essentially, it only outputs its result over Archon. I think what we can do maybe is output the result somewhere else if the command maybe wasn't run from Archon. So the idea I have in mind here is if we go to the command, it gets past this custom command data. This should have a player index, but it could be nil if it came from the server console. I'm assuming if it was Archon, that's going to be the case. So this is what gets passed in. Currently, we're calling it args. So args.playerIndex. I think we should be able to do something like if args.playerIndex is nil. Oh, sorry, Lua is not my thing, really. Yeah, but we want an else maybe also. Honestly, I'm probably gonna mess this up. If then, else then? Else if then. Okay, yeah, probably just else then. Yeah, so I basically write no Lua. Well, it probably wouldn't be else then because there's no condition. Let's just double check. Lua syntax if else. It's probably just else, right? If then else. Else, yeah, nothing for else. Okay. So if there is a player index, then game print, or isn't there a player print? Well, we only have a player index, not a player object. There is a player print. Print text to the chat console. Yeah, let's do game print first, but maybe we come back and do player print. That might be nice too, so that if you are running it you were actually doing it on a server with multiple players, that way it would only print to whoever ran it, if I'm understanding correctly. Let's see if this part works. So there is a build here. This will build the mod, and then I almost want to make like restart Factorio, and we have that is starting, and we also have pkill. Factorio should stop it, I think. I don't know for sure. Let's see if it actually works. Yeah, it killed the old one. Seems like it's launching the new one. Cool. Okay. There might even be like, well, I don't know if we can pass commands to it. The Factorio binary itself has a whole load of command line args. Then, so I think I probably messed that up. Let's see. If do, it should be then, not do, right? If then, I copied the do from here, I think. And else end. I think that should be it. So run build again. This is a shame that I mean, I guess we could put it inside of build. Where is build actually? Build is inside MCU combinators. So we could actually just go os.system up. Restart. Find it. Maybe I changed I think I probably changed this, right? Yeah, so this is actually already in Factorio. We don't need to go up. We actually just need to be, well, we could do / to make it explicit, but it's already in the directory it needs to be, I think. No. Oh, permission denied. Interesting. Does it not have X, but I was able to run it with PyCharm? Because if so, that's a little weird, right? Weird. Okay, I ran that a second ago through PyCharm, and apparently it will happily execute a shell script that doesn't actually have X, which is a neat feature, kind of. Let's go +X restart. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, there we go. Killed the old one. So built the mod, killed the old one, launched the new one. Unfortunately, we do get to wait for all of the setup sprites stuff every time. Although they did make it a lot faster because they have to wait for it too, the developers of the game. It didn't crash, that's a good sign. Nice, okay, so that spit out some JSON for us, much better that we can actually see it. I think this will make it easier to kind of explain how the mod works to other people because I can just run it directly and see the output and I don't have to bother with like also trying to go through the Archon tunnel. We'll double check here in a bit to make sure that still works, but I'm guessing that it will. I do think it would be cool to do the player print though. So how do we get a player instance from a player ID? Is there like a game.getPlayer or something? Game? Does this have like a get player? It does. Nice. Player does not necessarily specify index or name. I wonder, I don't know what, oh, player index. Okay, I thought this was player ID for some reason. Okay. So we should be able to go like game.getPlayer, args, player index, dot print, because that will return the player, and then player has print. So we do this. I don't necessarily have an easy way to test the difference between these two. I wonder if I can, like, does it have to do that Steam thing every time? I guess that's because I'm launching it through Steam. I guess, I don't know, we probably want it to do. I do want it to sync my, like, actual saves. I wonder, can you do multiple installs? I could have, like, a separate instance for development. Okay, cool, that printed back to me. I don't have an easy way to, like, I don't think at least I have an easy way to... Can you run... I don't know if you can run multiple instances. I'm not going to mess with it right now, but I don't have an easy way to join the server with a second player or whatever, so I don't have an easy way to confirm that only one player is getting the printouts. But I assume that that's the case now that we're doing get player print. That's what that should do. And then the rest of these, they're already able to be... Well, okay, this is error output, actually. This is like error handling if you give it the wrong stuff. You actually probably want to return here, because if we don't return, it's actually still going to try to execute this stuff, but it's not going to have all the variables. So this is actually probably gonna, it's gonna print the error, but it's also gonna print a real error because it's gonna go on. Does Lua have, like, return? Sure, that's what we would want. So this is set read combinators slot. Oh, this is actually something I did. I think I was not on the stream when I did this. I refactored I created, because originally we had this big chunk of Lua that I was sending over the Archon. Actually do have the backup up here somewhere. W factory button. Something else. It's inside Archon commands. So before I had this on the microcontroller side, I had this set read combinators, which was just sending this big chunk of Lua, which is actually just straight up Lua commands that are already in the game. There was nothing custom about this. We were putting in variables to it, but there's nothing custom about that. I have now created custom command here. Big chunk of Lua. Big chunk of Lua, yeah. I have now created a custom one here that takes just the arguments you want. It's kind of janky the way the arguments work, if I'm honest. I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but it works. So the way it works now, you pass, you say the command, and then you get to give slot, type, signal, and value. Go back to the game and look at a read output combinator. We could say set, what was it? Set read, I'm just going to copy it, set read combinators slot. Set read combinator slot. So then we need to go slot. So I'll say, let's say maybe slot, well, so it's Lua, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Slot 4. The type is, I'm just going to do virtual, but you could do item or whatever. Signal, so I'll say signal dash B, and then a value. We can put whatever value we want. Put that, and it will put the B value in there. Now we have a custom command that does that rather than that gigantic template thing. I don't know if I've updated. I think I did. I'm not certain though. I think I updated the microcontroller, but there's still some stuff we can do with this. Let's check on this though. So I think now it's gonna, what is it gonna do if we don't give it all the right arguments? So let's say we omit this, and it does, it did just print that. It didn't seem like it did anything too bad. I'm pretty surprised by that, though, actually. I guess it would have set it to nil. Did it change? Okay, there. It did. Interesting. So because we set it to nil, it actually went down to 0. I guess makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So that we don't want. It basically printed what's supposed to be an error message and then like went on with the rest of the functionality. Kind of in JavaScript fashion, it did its best instead of like raising an error like I thought it would. But it did not do really what it should. We should return here, and hopefully that's going to make it so that it won't do anything else if you don't give it the right number of arguments. Or don't format your single argument correctly, because it really comes in as one argument, but I put spaces in it. Oh, I guess it got auto-saved before we changed it, maybe? So if we do that, yeah, there we go. Okay, so now it prints the error and it doesn't actually do anything. Actually just gonna make this even more clear that it is an error. Okay, but we should basically do the same thing for this with the way we did this. And in fact, I'm starting to think we should probably just make like a print helper or whatever, right? Because otherwise, anywhere where we want to print basically is going to have this. That one doesn't print anything. Let's make sure that works, and then probably get back to microcontroller side. Make sure the Archon still works, and then I think the next thing that I probably want to work on is on the microcontroller, making a library that will simplify the API into Pythonic code rather than what we have right now, which is just sort of blasting Archon commands from our main code. I want to be able to say, like, essentially want the same interface we have now in Lua. I want to be able to call set read combinator slot in Python and pass the 4 things and then have it send the Lua across rather than the actual Python code just right in the user code sending all that stuff. Ooh. Oh, I don't think I passed args in any of those spots, actually. I wonder what happens if you p-kill a thing that's not running. So everywhere where we have this, we actually need to pass through args. Okay, seems fine. Error for arguments. There we go. Okay. And just to make sure, like, yeah, okay. That works. Microcontroller. Actually does have this, but this is still using the old one. And we don't have one for get right combinator signals. Actually, this is old and doesn't even have the get right combinator stuff. So right now, this command takes this huge dictionary, and I think I would like to make it match. And it even has this command type, which I never ended up using. So we'll refactor that to actually just match the the Lua signature. Plus this will still do, I think. Yeah, but then the other thing is here we have this going on. I would like all of this to go inside of a function on the Python side called getRightCombinators signals, so that, and then it will just return the object to Python. That way we have like a more Python API rather than write this byte string with all this weird stuff and read the results and do stuff with it. I mean, it's going to be doing the same thing, but it'll just be wrapped a bit better inside of some useful code. Okay, so for one thing, I think Archon commands is not going to be the right name for this because it should be specific to Factorio and even this mod, because we are using these custom commands that only exist in this mod now. So I think we go Factorio MCU combinators. The interface if we wanted to be more specific and wordy, but okay, so I did create a new one here, set read combinator slot, which is using the new custom command, but it is also still using this command object, which I want to get rid of and make this instead just be slot signal type signal name, although we just called it signal on the Lua side, I think, and value. I don't really need this whole command thing, I don't think. Maybe we should use signal value. I don't know, I think it's fine. I don't really need to do that. Eventually we could probably get rid of this. That command doesn't even return anything anyway. Well, okay, if you have an error, it does, I guess. So I guess we need to keep that. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to... So group is hard-coded on the Lua side now. Maybe eventually we'll do groups. I don't know that it matters too much right now. So we'll do slot is 1. Type is virtual. These are all basically just hard-coded anyway. Okay, and then I think my IDE here isn't... Oh, well, okay, so one thing is we'll need to change our import as well. Maybe that will make the IDE realize. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So... That one is also slot 1. Hey, how are you? My headphones aren't working, so I can't hear you. Can you reply in chat? Okay, your headphones are not working, so you won't hear me say, please don't just try to sell me Twitch followers or whatever. I will be disappointed if the whole point of this interaction is you trying to sell me Twitch followers, but otherwise, yeah. We have slot 1, we have virtual, we have signal S, and that is going to 1. Come back through here and do some cleanup as well at some point. We can remove all of these huge chunks. So that is slot 2. This one is actually item. Rocket silo 1. Good job. We almost came back around to this, but we're still not quite the exact same because we don't have custom code that's kind of like parsing these commas and stuff in the Python side. Instead, it's all in Lua now. And it's all a nice sort of one-liner, easy to just call and test, do stuff with. Slot 1, virtual, signal S, value 2. Mostly leaving these here in case I typo one of these and the buttons and stuff don't behave how I'm used to. Be able to hopefully figure out what's different. Slot 1. Virtual, signal S, value. Okay, so it was just getting lucky with its guesses. It hadn't quite actually figured out that value here and value here are the same. I was curious if the old code completion there actually knew what was going on, or just kind of copied ones from before. Dictionary? What? What are you doing? Definitely doesn't know what's going on. Also really likes the rocket silo. We really want to go back to the rocket silo. Okay. Yep, that looks good. Oh, we finally got back to virtual S. That's good. Okay. All right. I don't have the USB proxy Archon thing running, so let's start that. Nice. All right, so signal 3 changed there. It wasn't on screen when it happened, but these lights also changed from yellow to green. All of that stuff is still working. Oh, I see. This is like stuck with that rather than... Interesting. I thought... Did I not do that? Doesn't count, I guess. Anyway. Green button would start the rocket countdown. So this will go up. We'll let it finish here. We could press the stop button and cancel it, but we'll let it go. That'll launch the rocket, hopefully. All right. Let's get rid of this before try and this update Neopix. I think this was like, it wasn't working and I was trying to figure out why, and I added print statements. I don't think we really need all that going on. Yeah, there we go. We maybe don't even need the NeoPixel thing either, but... Alright, so I think what happened, it started in red. I'm pretty sure there's logic that says when the microcontroller first turns on, if the key is not in neutral, then I think it starts in the canceled state instead of the neutral state. So even though the key was in armed, basically the microcontroller is coded to say you're not allowed to start in the armed state. Because that seems like a good way for it to work. Okay. So the next one that we can bring into the Python interface is... That's a different thing. Grill cipher. Oh, I forgot to put an E there, actually. There's supposed to be an E on that. It's grill, old school grill A. Why does this choose a random size every time it opens, I feel like? Let me make sure the stop button works, and then at that point, I'm pretty sure I will have tested everything, so... I don't think that's actually supposed to do anything. Yeah, we can do stop like that. That's one that's a little weird, is we do actually have to go back and forth to get back to neutral, but... Let's do armed, let's do launch, and then stop. So you can stop with this. I think that you could also stop just by turning the key back. Although, arguably, that should go to the canceled state, maybe. Maybe not, I don't know. I'm fine. Where are you from? I'm from, like, central part of the United States. All right. Doesn't have headphones. Oh. Yeah. all of that stuff does appear to be working. I think next thing we can do is, so this is the old one. Not going to delete it just yet, but we'll give it the old, heckin' old under the name there. I'm going to copy from Lua just to make sure I get the exact right name, because I think it is best if these match. This one, it will still take a data line. It doesn't have any of that. This one just returns all of the slots, so it's not asking for a certain slot. And we really just need to send the command by itself, nothing else. I've been doing timeout. Actually, maybe timeout shouldn't be 0. There was, I thought, one command I needed a timeout bigger than 0. I think it was actually this. I did do a 0.1 timeout. I think we should keep that, actually, because this one actually returns data. The other one doesn't, unless there's an error. But that's not very much data. This one returns JSON, which could contain kind of a lot of data. It doesn't right now because I don't have very many signals that are getting passed to the right combinators. But like, we could pass as many signals as we want, I think. You fill this up, do you get more? I think you get more if you fill that up. I don't think that's a hard limit. I'm not positive, though. In any case, we could just hook up another constant combinator, so even if it's capped at 1 row, you could just make another thing with another row. Oh, interesting. The usually I can double click. That is weird. Usually I can double click to like select a word, like whatever it thinks is a word or whatever, which usually would cross underscores as well, so it would select that whole thing, but that wasn't working. I did Control W and it worked. Control W is like my nemesis hotkey because it's so useful inside PyCharm, but like it makes a bunch of other windows just close. So I get used to using it in PyCharm and then I want to use it everywhere, and I end up just closing windows randomly, which is not the best. So count this as my petition to make Control W a system-wide expand selection. I don't think, well, we do need to get the response still, obviously. This would just be data line. It's actually already data line USB CDC dot data, so we already have that. So we just say data line readline, JSON import that. Doesn't want to do it because it's like, which one should we import from? Just the plain one is good, thank you. Should we like catch? Probably catch here, right? What's the error? Is it a value error? What's the error for invalid JSON? Value error. Do we maybe actually just want to raise it, honestly? Maybe we should just raise it. We're expecting JSON, we didn't get JSON. like an exception to me. The user code could catch it, of course, but I don't know what the library code is going to do about it. It doesn't really have anything to do, so we just return that. So here now we should be able to just say get rid of all of this and instead go JSON object equals get right combinators sig nulls, which is not imported yet. Oh, that's also still not working again. Okay, that's suspicious. We're already catching it anyway, in fact. Okay, that's actually killing me. I need to like close this, I guess, and try again. I don't know why it would be doing that. Turns out I actually rely on double click to highlight stuff a little bit more than I thought. Okay, there we go. The Archon thingy again. Okay. The error. So this was printing an error of the response string. I mean, see. Nice, I'm from UK. Man, please don't just be trying to sell followers on Twitter or whatever, please. Not on Twitter, on Twitch. Whoops. Sprint E, I think. Don't really need the rest of this either, honestly. Can't import names, set read combinators. Because it was called set read combinators slot. What is it called on the Lua side? Set read combinator slot. Yeah, okay, so we want to do that. I think. Why does it think it's unused? So unused import. Oh, it's imported twice. I see. Okay. Okay. Wasn't for followers, was for artwork, which I can appreciate a bit more than followers, so. I still don't really need any artwork either, though. $31. Oh, we need the data line. Duh. Data. There we go. All right, so now that's going. I don't think I actually tested the NeoPixels a while ago, so let's make sure these are working. Nice. Okay. Cool. All right, now let's do some actual up here. Okay. So we basically have like 3 pieces of code here. We have 2 that are hopefully useful for people beyond me, which is the mod, the Lua mod, and the Python Archon USB proxy thingy, which isn't even really that much code. Also could use some cleanup, in fact, here. This is mad because there's no space. Let me get this out of here. Oh, we should probably address that somehow. And in fact, we need these things to be able to be passed in too. So maybe we should take a moment to sort of turn this into a more usable API. How do I want that to work? Should it just be a function? Or... So for one thing, this can actually go back the other way. This one is called MCU Combinator's Interface. Earlier, we had a thing called Archon Commands, and I changed it to be Factorio MCU Combinators. This one can actually kind of go the other way, because this one is now non-specific to the mod. This would actually work for other mods, essentially, or other, like, any situation where you want a microcontroller connected over USB to be able to run commands on your Factorio server. So this should probably be something like USB Archon something. I don't know if proxy is the right word or if interface I don't necessarily think is the right word either. Pipe. USB Archon repeater. I don't hate that. Although Archon... Maybe it should be USB Archon repeater? Is that weird? So that should be serial port. We need an IP, server IP, and we need a server port, and we need a server password. And then I think what we should do is just set all of these on self. And then have a, like, run forever. Kind of like serve forever from a server API. And so for my test, create the repeater. IP port password. So IP is localhost as a string. Archon port. Maybe we should say Archon server IP or Archon IP, Archon port instead of server. What is unreachable? Shouldn't it, like, keyboard interrupt? What? Okay, let's stop that for a second. Let's stop that and let's rerun this. Make sure it all still works. All right, that looks good. I didn't do 255, but that's fine. Okay, now we actually have something sort of mostly reusable. Could it be USB serial Archon repeater? There's serial implied. Maybe even just UART Archon repeater. It does have this weird bit though. But that was the only way I could think of to solve the multi-line commands, which we were sending previously, although we aren't anymore technically. I think it's probably good to leave that in case somebody would want to use the repeater for multi-line commands still. Okay. What do you have to do to, like, actually publish a Factorio mod? I have not looked into that at all. Source code. Oh. Okay, I thought that was like a bottom bar on the whole thing of like the whole list, but it's actually just part of the last one. All right, this doesn't really say anything about actually getting your thing into the mod portal. Info? Mod portal search. No, that's gonna be about. Mod portal. Just links to it. Okay, so you can get data out of the mod portal with this, but not really what we want to do. Okay, you just go to your account and submit. Oh, there is a publish API. Well, the AI thing thinks there is. Okay, yeah, there is. So theoretically, you could probably use like actions or something on GitHub if you hosted your mod there. Probably won't necessarily do that, but you could do it because you could run build in your action, and then looks like you could upload from here as well. You have like a release action. Okay. Combinators. You know, one thing that would be cool maybe to look into is if I could change the assets at all. Because right now we totally are just stealing the constant combinator and the decider combinator. We might want to disable these ones too. I have the... Oh, no, I don't. At one point I had it so that the read combinator was disabled. If you clicked on it, it wouldn't do anything. That was to prevent the player from, like, just adding stuff manually or changing stuff manually. Do we want that? Maybe we're fine with the player changing stuff? But I do think it would be nice if it was, like, distinct somehow. Unfortunately, the easiest thing that comes to mind would be trying to recolor it to a different hue, like green, but that's, like, unfortunate because red and green are often a common color blindness problem. But I don't really have the skills to, like, model and then render assets for a new one. How can I modify entity assets? In the visible assets in the game data. So somewhere in the data file, data folder, but I don't know where. I think this is like user data. These are like icons and GUI stuff, though, I think, right? This is not entities. Although the wires, like, it may be. Combin. Oh, interesting. Color. Icons, but that's not really what we want. How are there no combinators? Maybe it's not in core. Base. Probably in base. Combinator. Combinator. Well, we could maybe make a custom one of these. That would be interesting. I think we leave the shadow alone. Okay, so there's just constant combinator.png. So maybe... So there was the sprites north file name, but I think that this changed maybe Factorio mod how to specify graphics for NT. I think that this changed with 2.0. Sprites in graphics.lua. Create graphics.lua. Define a table that holds the sprite information. So do we need to, maybe we need to copy that also. Only has data.lua. Does not seem to have a graphics.lua. Combinator pictures? No constant combinator either. Weird. Circuit network? Combinator pictures? Oh, we probably would need an icon too. But layers, sprite. But constant combinator doesn't have a sprite. Doesn't it have a sprite? But why would it just be sprites and then how's it gonna know which entity? I don't really want to do it at runtime. I'm not gonna make my own. Picture equals sprites.base. mean, there's kinds of weird stuff going on. I think these are for the display on the top, though. I don't know all of those do. Factorio mod, how to override entity and provide custom graphics. Okay, so it knows by the folder, it looks like. Graphics entity. Types enter resources, demo resources. Is it from pictures? This is awfully old, though. I wish I could just see what the current one does. It's probably more complicated than that. I mean, generate constant combinator, but it just doesn't have pictures or anything. It has icons. So, but then like programmable speaker, this has sprite with layers and some stuff, but why doesn't the constant combinator? It's got all kinds of speaker logic. And then this is all graphics. Nothing in here is Lua. It does have graphics entity combinator. I mean, does it just automatically take it? If we had graphics entity and then we made sure that this matched the name of this, why on earth would I want to do that? Why? Would it just take it? I don't think it will, but maybe. So like, let's say we wanted to make this green. Or like, so the green wire is on the left. The unfortunate part is it would be nice to keep the green wire looking green and the red wire looking red. But I don't really know how to do that other than like masking it out, and I'm not gonna do that right now. Or possibly ever, I don't know, we'll see. I kind of liked, I'm digging this like wild berry teal action here though, let's do that. We just save this back to that name. Is it gonna just magically find graphics entity this and then use it? Seems unlikely, but never know until we try. Oh, I didn't put that inside of entity. Wait. I have the names wrong somehow, because on the right side over there, well, it's kind of getting messed up by the chat probably, but on my right side of my Factorio screen, it says in blue down there, MCU output combinator, MCU output combinator. But the name is correct there. Factorio mod custom sprite for entity. Guess we need to try harder to do what it says, but I'm not really understanding what it says, honestly. So it does say picture equals, and then it says sprites.base. I don't know how would I know it's not base. Picture equals base. My mod graphics entity. It's saying my entity. It's not how the base one is, but I don't know if I need those. And if I do need them, then I don't know what size. I guess, well, that's icon though. If I do need them, I don't know how to find out what the correct values are, since I haven't been able to find how the constant combinator gets defined, really. It's unclear to me if this actually needs to be in its own file or whatever. I mean, it seems to me like the AI doesn't know, really. To close at 15 near picture. Is this not like, maybe that doesn't like trailing commas? No, still no. Expected to close the curly brackets at line 15. Like it is not like that. Maybe you can't nest things like that. Oh, it's 19. Right. Ah, but it didn't change. I mean, I guess we could go try to find a different mod that has a custom entity with a thing. It feels very... feels like it should be easier? Documented somewhere? It's pictures, boiler pictures, tile main, lights, rails. Maybe we're running into the 2.0 thing. Tile prototype? We're not doing a tile though. I think that's... removed HR. That's just about the HR thing. What is this? Python? Oh. Man. Factorio mod, how to make an entity with graphics. Seems like it should not be this hard to just be able to change the image. Or to like just find the page that documents it, I guess, is the... I mean, the process of doing it could be involved, but the documentation of like where to find out how seems possible. Yeah, I guess let's go to them. Go look for a mod. I want a mod with like, I want the most basic thing though. Like, I don't know how to find something super basic. I don't want to log in. Why would I need to log in? Oh, so annoying. Didn't we see the API said no logins required? Like, one of these pages forever ago? Okay. Where do the mods live? Factorio mods. So they have theirs broken out. Entity, item, recipe, Lua. Entity does have an icon. There's a load of this stuff. Does have a picture. Maybe we need layers. Which is, it's really a shame that I can't find... It's really a shame that I can't find the place where they're actually defined in the base mod, because it looks like it would be a lot easier if we could just copy the existing one and change the file. They have prototypes entity, and then they have circuitnetwork.lua, which just contains all the combinators. And it requires prototypes, combinator pictures. It does actually require this. Just generate. Okay, here we go. I think maybe. I don't know what this four-way, I don't really know what that's doing. Okay, we need to make sure we get the right number of squirrely brackets here. All right, so picture is a table which has layers, which is, I guess, a table or a list. Scale, so we'll keep all of this stuff the exact same, except we'll be changing this. And the shadow doesn't matter, so I'm going to keep that the same. We're not using base. I'll do that with it. All right, so I think it looks like I just didn't go far enough down, maybe. Constant. So this is basically that. But it is weird that I didn't find anywhere saying picture equals, right? For the constant combinator. But I guess this is calling generate arithmetic combinator. I don't know where that's coming from. But maybe that is adding picture by calling that make four-way whatever. The whole make four-way thing has me worried too that maybe I don't understand how this is like doing nothing though. Oh, this is back to non-clickable? Oh, I think new ones are non-clickable and this old one kind of got grandfathered in. I don't understand how that made no change whatsoever though. So we had picture equals, and then layers equals. There's a working light picture, but that's for this electric heating tower. I don't think we care about that. Connection patches, sound. Circuit connector sprites, that's perhaps relevant to my interests, but I'd rather get just the color working. But maybe at some point it might be nice to customize that. Oh, I think maybe we're not supposed to be your mod or whatever, right? This is wrong. This should be MCU combinators. It would be kind of nice if there was a shortcut though, since we're inside the mod. It'd be nice if we could just say like name or whatever, and it knew that we were talking about our own name, self.name or whatever. I love the suspense that this window is on top of it. Didn't work again. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of ideas, really. So this is the read combinator item. So in this heating one, they're not even doing really item. They're just saying data extend with this whole thing. Type reactor. I mean, maybe item is the wrong thing, right? But we have recipe. I actually think this is the wrong thing. But I'm so not sure because this defines an icon here and a picture here, and it's all part of the same thing. And this also just doesn't have any, well, it just has data extend. So we did data extend. So I did MCU read combinator, then the item, then the recipe. So the thing by itself is the one that we deep copied here. And they're just doing extend one gigantic object. Okay, maybe this needs to be like picture equals? Still unclear on the trailing commas. This doesn't want to format at all. Whatever, I don't even know if it's gonna work. Worth bothering to format it. I mean, it makes sense to me that it wouldn't be on the item, because the item, I think, is like while it's in your inventory or in the like building menu screen or whatever, right? No. We no longer have the anticipation of the window. We got right to the disappointment quicker. I mean, is it really supposed to be like this? And should it... I guess that's because of the versions, probably. Alright, let's go look in the mods folder and see if this is actually... We have MCU combinators. Inside of there, we do have graphics. Why do I have so many copies of that? Graphics entity, MCU read combinator, and then MCU read combinator.png. Did I put all of these here? Why are there so many of these? Why is this not opening? That is weird. That's weird that it's creating these. I don't know where those are coming from. They're in this one too. Hmm. Just zipping is causing that somehow. Just doesn't really make any sense. I might just be, I think I might be just about at the end of my interest in troubleshooting this for the time being. All right, I'm gonna try this manual one. I don't really think it's gonna lead to any difference, but I have too many windows that go nowhere. Where's the one that was just open? Am I crazy? Was there not just one open? I don't think those extra images would break anything, but I don't really understand why they're there. It seems to be a quirk of zipping it how I zipped it. This is kind of a little annoying, truthfully. Yeah. Makes no difference. Okay, so we've still failed to change the icon, or the picture. It's a shame. That's, yeah, I mean, I had those there before. Are those like somehow, I'm, I really don't think those extra pictures matter at all. But I'm freaked out that they're there, and it makes me wonder, like, am I even using the latest code at any given point in time? Like, if it's randomly putting those there, what else is it randomly doing or changing? Like, I don't understand why it would be putting those there. Okay. They're not there in this one. I mean, they're not there in this printout. But we open this. Okay. They're not here. Whew. This is the wrong file. We do have that picture equals table with layers, has 2 layers. Okay. So I'm gonna run build. Delete that. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Well, it doesn't matter, but okay, we just copied that there. We go inside this. Okay, those things are not there anymore. Feel like I'm going crazy a little bit. I didn't do anything different, but whatever, not there. But still definitely not doing anything useful. Okay. And yeah, I don't get what I'm doing different at this point. So the main thing that I can tell is that they are doing data extend, and then they're passing one giant object. Which doesn't seem to have like a recipe or anything tied to it. Now they do have inside prototypes, they have recipe. Okay, so they're just, I see kind of. So they're just essentially okay. So they just have theirs broken out into 3 files. And picture is definitely on the, I guess, entity or whatever. This type reactor. So that's one huge difference with ours, is that I'm copying everything from constant combinator. I don't have just one big table, but anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up for now there. Thank you to everyone for watching. Should be back for deep dive, normal time next Friday, and back on Saturday, I think, for my stream as well. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend, and I will see you later.